Hello everyone, welcome to our channel BISP Solution, and let's start from the today's agenda. So this is our today's agenda. We will create a user, start from the user creation, and after that we will create and manage the enterprise structure, how we define the enterprise structure in our application, and later on we will create the implementation project in our application, and at the end we will manage our geography in our application. Right. So before starting today's session, let us see an end-to-end picture from beginning to end. I mean how to the user get the requirement from the user and how we finalize the uh, the the requirement from the user and user acceptance training to the end and the go live. So I see some user story you can see on this screen. Right. So this is the common feature of user story of SCM. So when we prepare a functional document, we have a various client interaction session where the requirement is gathered, such as what is the client's company structure and their functional, their reporting currency, calendar, how they follow their chart of account, inventory details, right? So once the requirement is gathered, we check along with their technical and functional team about the feasibility of the gathering the requirement within our Fusion application. If they are feasible, then which appropriate Fusion product family is required to be implemented to meet the requirement of the client, such as SCM, finance, human capital management, etc. Once we have understood the client system, we need to focus on the traditional system, such as Tally and you can say the SAP, right? And where the client is maintaining the data and the record, raw data and the records. And after finalizing the data, we map the data, right? We map the data and from the source or the traditional system, then shift it to the Oracle Fusion application. You can see, right? So all the requirement setups, the data migration along with their user acceptance are carried out before the go live product, right? And this is the basically an overview how the implementation takes place. You can see the user and the client information, the requirement feasibility, yes or no, and the uh, old structure of the client, and after that the mapping and the all the data are mapped into the Oracle template, and this template are fetched into the application, reloaded in the Fusion application, right? So start from the user creation. We will configure all the common setup in our SM application, like how to define the enterprise structure, currency, accounting calendar, segments, and how to define the payment method, inventories, sub-inventories, and procurement, order management related setups, all be done in our, all we will set up in our upcoming sessions, right? So start from the user creation. So user creation, what do you mean by user in our application? And why we are creating the user in our application? Implementation user. So implementation user perform all the implementation related tasks in our application. For an example, we create the enterprise structure, we create the legal entity, business unit, primary ledger, and we can configure the financial related task, like we create the accounting calendar, and we can create the chart of account structure, all the financial related tasks. Implementation user can create the rules and configure the supply chain management related tasks as well. Right. So as per the offerings provided by the Oracle, we can perform and we can accomplish all the implementation tasks. Right. And after creating the implementation user, in order to achieve the implementation task, we have to assign some job roles to this implementation user. And after creating this implementation user and assigning the role to this implementation user, we have the feature to reset the password of this implementation user. Right. We will see one by one in our application. And initially we have assigned two type of role in our implementation user. First one is application implementation consultant, and the next one is IT security manager. So when we define the job roles application implementation consultant to the user, then these job roles allow to the user to do the application related setups, and we can implement any application like inventory, procurement, order management, AP, AR, cash management, all the application we can set up, we can implement in our application with the help of this job role, application implementation consultant. And the IT security manager, it allow the implementation user to create new user and manage the job roles. And we can also create new job roles as per the requirement. Right. So if you have these two type of role, then user have fully control of application. So like when we assign the first role application implementation consultant, so it provide the access of SFM page, the functional setup manager page. So what is FSM page? Oracle Fusion functional setup manager page is an application that's provide an end-to-end guided process for managing your functional implementation project throughout the entire application lifecycle. And the functional setup manager is a tool within the Oracle Fusion Cloud to implement any functional area like human capital management, financial, supply chain management, procurement, etc. And the IT security management rules provide to access the security console. We'll see. So first, we will see how to create an implementation user in our application, and later on, we will cover all the today's topic like enterprise structure and how to create the implementation project and the geography. Right. So let's move to the instance. Right. So this is the Casey Brown, and Casey Brown is the initial user provided by the Oracle. Right. And I'm already logged into this initial user, right? So navigator, click on this navigator, scroll down a little bit, and go to the tools, click on that, and click on this security console. Click on this users, right? And click on this add user account. So we have on the page where we have to insert some basic information related to the user, like first name, last name, the password, right? So start the last name, and we have fill only the mandatory field. This is the username, and we have define the password. You can see this admin at the rate 123, right? So this is the first name, username, password, and confirm password. Right. And click on this save and close. So in this way, we can create a implementation user. Right. We can check by the username is Tata. Right. Click on that display name. So you can see this is our user information of this user, and still we are not define any assign any roles to this user. Right. Done. Now let's sign out from this initial user and let's log in with the new implementation user. So you can see we have already successfully logged into this implementation user, right? Let's click on this setting and action, and under this setting and action you can see there is no any option related to setup and maintenance, right? And the same way, click on this navigator and go to the tools, and we don't have any security console option, because right now we are not able to create any user, and we don't assign any rule because we are not define the the job role to this user. So first we assign the role. Let's sign out. Login with the initial user. So I'm going to assign the job roles to the implementation user. So again, click on this navigator, scroll down, go to the tools, click on security console, click on user, search for the user, click on this display name, right? Click on this add it, click on this add role, right? Search, the role name is application, implementation, it will take time to fetch the information. So this is the application implementation consultant job role, and go with the Oracle seeded seeded job role, and this is the copy job role. So select first one, and click on add role membership. In the same way, we add the IT security manager. Add this one also and click on done. You can see the job roles are added to this user, right? And if you want to delete this one, you can click on this delete icon and click on save and close. Done. Now we have to run the LDAP job. So what is the role of LDAP job? So LDAP stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, and this is the directory available in the Oracle Fusion application. And we can say this is a LDAP directory in Oracle Cloud. And the role of LDAP in Oracle Fusion is to take care of the Oracle Fusion application user account and the role information, all the user related stuff handled in LDAP directory separately. LDAP handle all the Oracle application user accounts information and what are the roles assigned to user account and all such kind of information handled by the LDAP directory. When we create the user account and assign role to the user, the existing user, all this happen in the LDAP directory. So it does not mean that we do not step out these Oracle Cloud application, but all these things they happen in the same application, but goes in the different directories. So once we create a new user or attach a new roles to the existing user, we also need to send this information continuously from LDAP directly to the Oracle Fusion application. So that is all things should be synchronized, right? So go to the navigator and go to the tools, and under the tools we have the schedule processes. You can see schedule processes, click on that. Click on this schedule new process. Search for the job name LDAP. So first one is retrieve latest LDAP changes. So select this task and click on OK. Click OK. Right. So this is the process detail, and when we click on this advanced, so it will give you the option the as soon as possible and using the schedule. So this process also be run on the schedule time. You can define over here. So frequency once, hourly, weekly, monthly, right? And the start time, right? So go with the as soon as possible and click on this submit. It will give you the message. The process submitted. Just copy this process number and paste it in our notepad file. Click on this refresh icon. So this is our 2872. This is our process ID number, and the status is running. Click on this refresh icon again and again till the status gets succeeded. It's not. So no worry, just sign out and let's sign in for the data user. Right. So click on this setting and action, and you can see the settlement maintenance and all the other tasks are enabled. So with the help of job role application implementation consultant, the setup and maintenance gets enabled. And click on this navigator, go to the tools, and you can see this security console gets enabled with the help of job roles IT security, right? So this is the assign role and the implementation user, right? Now how to reset the password of this user? So click on this navigator, under the tools go to the security console, to the user, search for the user, click on the display name, right? So we have the option reset password for this user. Click on this button and it display the reset password by automatically or by manually, right? So click on this manually so that we can define our new password, right? So I'm going to enter admin at the rate 1234, right? Admin at the rate 1234, right? You can see, right? Click on this reset password, click on done, right? Let's sign out and sign in, and we'll see the impact of reset password option. Start, and I'm going to enter the old password, that is admin at the rate 123. You can see, click on sign in. So authentication failed. This new password, click on sign in. See, I'm successfully logged into the implementation user, right? So this is all about the implementation user, how to assign the role, and how to reset the password. Let's move to the next slide. So next topic is enterprise structure. So before understanding how we define the enterprise structure in our Oracle Fusion application, let's discuss what is enterprise. So an enterprise is a collection of legal entities sharing the common control and management. Oracle Fusion application has been designed to ensure your enterprise can be modeled and to meet the legal and the management objectives. Right. Every enterprise has the three fundamental structure: legal, managerial, and the functional that are used to describe its operation and provide the basis for reporting. In Oracle Fusion, these structures are implemented using the chart of accounts and the organization. Although many alternate hierarchies can be implemented and used for reporting, and we are likely to have one primary structure that organizes our business into the division, business unit, legal entity, department aligned by our strategic objective. Right. So this is the enterprise structure. You can see first is enterprise, second one is division, right? So to understand the enterprise structure, start from the enterprise. So what is the enterprise? So enterprise is the top level entity and it will be contain the details of client and their headquarter information, and it is the mandatory configuration in the fusion. And one thing we should be remember that one enterprise can be created in our one Oracle Fusion instance, one Oracle Fusion application, right? And when we get our first instance, by default the enterprise structure created in this instance, right? So we can edit the information in this enterprise. The next one is division. Division are the optional segment and which are created under the enterprise. Next one is the primary laser. A primary laser is an Oracle Fusion application is where all the primary accounting information will be maintained. A primary laser will have four type of objectives assigned to it, like we can see the 4C, the chart of account, calendar, accounting calendar, currency, and sub laser accounting method. These are the four key objectives assigned into the primary laser. We will discuss in our upcoming sessions how to create the primary laser separately, right? Let's talk about the legal entity. Legal entity is the recognized party with registered under any legislation or the law that has been created in the system. Right? For an example, in our organization, we are working for the three countries and that are registered in our three countries law. So there will be a four legal entity, three for the country and one for the enterprise. We will have defined all these four legal entity in our system, right? Three for our countries and separately and one for the enterprise, right? And let's for the business unit. A business unit, a unit of the enterprise that perform one and many business functions, and that can be rolled up in the management hierarchies. Business unit record the real-time transaction, day-to-day activity, right? So this is the business unit. And the last one is inventory organization. And inventory organization is the facility to store and to transact the item. The organization must define at least one inventory organization. And the inventory organization maintain the records of warehouse data, inventory data, item data, right? Inventory can manage and record under the enterprise organization, right? So let's move over next slide. That is mapping organization data in Oracle Fusion application, right? So how we map the organization data in Oracle Fusion application? So there are four type of data. There's employee data, registration data, business transactional data, and the warehouse data. So at the enterprise level, under the enterprise level, we maintain all the employee related data like payroll data and the employee, all the information, right? And at the legal entity will maintain all the registration level data. For example, the registration number, law and regulations, all the information under the legal entity. And the business unit record the day-to-day activity of the business transaction, like the sales details, purchase detail, invoice detail, right? And at the end, inventory organization, which maintain the warehouse data, inventory related data, and the item related data. So all the data under the inventory organization, right? So this is all about the mapping organization. Now let's move to the application and we'll see how to define the enterprise structure in our application. Right. So this is one instance. Click on this setting and action and go to the setup and maintenance. Click on this task list. Click on search and we have to search. The task name is establish enterprise structure. Click on this task name. So we have already some predefined enterprise and it is already loaded in our system, in our application, right? So let's create one more. Click on this create icon. So first of all, we have to define our enterprise name. So I'm going to define Tata Group, right? And the same, I'm defining the description. Click on OK. Right. So this is our enterprise name, that is Tata Group. You can also define the short name, it's Tata. And what is our primary industry? So like finance, education service, finance, and the insurance, constructions, healthcare. So I'm going to select the manufacturing, right? And the headquarter country. So I'm going to select the United States, right? So this is our enterprise information. Now we have to define our legal information, right? So let's define like Tata Group, legal, right? Let's define the legal entity identifier. So I'm going to insert 101010 and legal entity registration number is 202020. And in the same way, we have to define the legal reporting unit registration number. Right. But we have to define the exact legal information into this enterprise structure, right? Because once we created, we cannot edit this basic information, this legal information, right? So let's create the legal address for this structure. Click on this create icon. So this is data group address, and same way we are going defining the description. This data group rule, right? And I'm going to select our country first. Suppose we select our postal code first. Nothing. New York. Let's select this one. Click OK. Right. Select our county, US. It's no issue. Let's go with the information. Right. So legal information we have inserted. Right. And we have the option. So continue with the to get interview to set up the more legal entity or complete the setup for the single legal entity. Now I am going to first one, right, for more legal entity, right, and click on this next, right. So under this enterprise structure, we have to define the division. This is optional, but right now we define two division over here, right. So let's define first one is Tata Motors. Tata Motors for India, right. We have to define the country over here, and we have to create the location. Tata Motors India address. Tata Motors Land Road. Now I have to define the pin code. Let's select the state. This is Delhi. Right. Let's click on OK. Right. So we have created the location for this Tata Motors India location. In the same way, I'm going to create new one more division for the US. This is Tata Steel US. Now we have to select the country over here. United States. In the same way, we have to create the location for respective division. Right. Let's define the postal code. Go with the New York. Right. So let's define the address line Tata Steel Spark US. Right. Okay. So in this way, we can create the division under the enterprise structure. Right. Now click on this. I think we have not. Select this one. Click on next. Now we have to create the legal entity for this division, right? So all the legal information automatically fetch from the legal information and the enterprise structure we already defined in the first page of this window, right? So this is our ultimate holding company, right? And we have going to define the legal entity for the division. So click on the create icon, and we have two type of division, right? So select with the India first. Define the country, and we have to define the name, legal entity name for this division. So I'm going to enter Tata Motors IND legal entity, right? Now we have to define the legal entity identifier. So suppose we have Tata underscore IND underscore 01, Tata underscore IND underscore 02. Suppose we define 100. And in the same way, we have to define the legal reporting unit registration number. Tata underscore IND underscore 200. Right. And we have to define the legal address. So this is our legal address, right? We have already created in our division part, right? Click on create icon again in order to create legal entity for this US. So select the division first, US, select the country, United States. Let's define the name, legal entity name, right? Let's define the Tata underscore US underscore 01. The same way, Tata underscore US underscore 100 and Tata underscore US underscore 200. Right. Let's select the legal address for this legal entity. So this is our US address. Right. So in this way, we can create the legal entity. So click on next. So next one is business unit. Right. So we have the multiple option for creating the business unit for our legal entity, right? By automatically, by manually, right? So we can create the legal business unit for enterprise structure, that is Tata Group Legal and the rest of the legal entity, right? So I am going to create the business unit only for the divisions, not for the enterprise, right? So select this one and I'm going to create the business unit by the automatically, right? So select this one and click on this next icon. So you can see the business unit create automatically, and you can change the code of this business unit and you can change the name of this business unit. Let's delete some part of the name so that we can easily identify our business unit name, right? And we have the option to change the status from active to inactive as per your requirement, right? And if you want to delete the business unit, you can delete from this icon. Let's click on next. Right. Now reference data set. So system create, you can see system generates the reference data set automatically for the respective business unit. You can see respective legal entity, right? And you can change the common name, common reference data set name. So let's change it from the RDS reference data set. Right. So, and you can define the description also for the respective reference data set, right? So click on next. Now we have to assign the reference data set to the business unit, right? So we have the Tata Motors India business unit. So we have to select the India reference data set in the same way as select the US reference data set, right? Click on this next, right? And we have to define the we have to assign the location reference set to our enterprise, to our so we have to define the reference data set to our locations. We have three locations. We have the enterprise location, we have the Tata Motors India location, we have the Steel US location. So we have to define the reference data set. So for our enterprise, we have to define the enterprise set, and for our motors, India Motors, Tata India Motors, we have to define the Tata Motors India RDS, and the last one is Steel, Tata Steel US reference data set, right? So in this way, we can define our reference data set to the locations, right? So click on this save and close. So you can see over here our enterprise structure gets ready. This is Tata Group, right? So we have the review result, right? So when we click on this review result, click on that. So we can review our information, enterprise related information like division, legal entities, business unit, reference data set, right? So go back. Right. Now we can load this enterprise structure by clicking on this load enterprise structure. But right now under this instance, we have already load one enterprise structure. So we're not able to load this one. So this is all about the enterprise structure, right? Now let's go to the our slide. Our next agenda is implementation project. So what is the implementation project and what are the uses, what are the benefits of the implementation we will cover. So implementation project. An implementation project is the list of setup tasks you needed to perform. You need to perform. You need to accomplish the setup tasks to implement the selected offerings, selected options in the implementation. Right. We can create an implementation project by selecting the offerings, by selecting the option, and which we want to implement together. Right. And we manage the project as a unit throughout the implementation life cycle. And we can assign one specific task to any user and one task to multiple user, and we can track their completion of task. So this is the benefits, and we can check the status of tasks using the implementation project, and we can also create an implementation project to maintain the setup of specific business processes and activities. So these are the uses and the benefits of the implementation project. Now we have the offerings and options. So before creating an implementation project, we have to enable the offerings and the option that are configured for the implementation. And the implementation manager specify which offerings and which options to include in our implementation project. So there are no hard and fast rule for how many offerings, how many options we should include in our implementation project. We can go with the one and two offerings, and we can also go with the more than two offerings as per our requirement. And the implementation manager should decide based on how they plan to manage their implementation. Right? For example, we implement and we develop the different offering at the different times. Then having the separate implementation project will make it easier to manage the implementation lifecycle. Right? And Oracle Fusion have the option to import and export our implementation project in the application. We will see one by one. Right. Let's go to our next slide. Oracle Fusion provides multiple offerings and multiple options, and we have the offerings like supply chain management, financial, SCM, PPM, procurement, order management, right? And under these offerings, we have the options like product management, purchasing, AP, AR, GL, right? So these are the options. So we have to enable all these offerings so that we can perform the task in the application. So let's move to the application and we'll see how to enable these offerings and options in our application. Right. Save and close. Done. So under this setup and maintenance, we have the option action. Click on action and go to the offerings. Right. So under these offerings, let's one take an example. Suppose we take the procurement. Let's select one, click on that, and we have the procurement. The status is enabled. This option is already enabled. Let's check on option in features. right? So sorry, under this procurement we have the options like supplier, item, purchasing, right? We have the multiple options. So which options are the enable or not? We can see over here. These are the checkbox under the this offering. You can see these all are the enable. If you want to disable any options in this offering, click on this checkbox to uncheck, right? So this option gets disabled for this offering, right? So let's click on this enable. You can see, click on done. So in this way, we can enable the offerings and options in the application, right? Click OK, done. Now let's create an implementation project. So setup manager or implementation manager creates the implementation project and generate a complete list of setup tasks based on our selections. So how we can create the implementation project? So under this setup and maintenance, click on this task list. Click on this manage implementation project, and we have the already created implementation project. But right now we are going to create new one. So click on this create icon. Right. So we have the name, that is Tata implementation project, right? So this is the name, this is the code, this is the description. You can edit as per your requirement. And this implementation project are assigned to this Tata user. You can search for the other user if you want to assign this implementation project, right? And this is the start date, and you can also define the finish date for this implementation project, right? So click on this save and close. It will take few seconds to save this information. Right. So you can see our implementation project gets created. Let's click on this name. Right. Now we can add the offerings by click on this add, select and add. Suppose let's click on that. So these are the offerings provided by the oracles, right? So let's select some offerings for this project. Suppose we select the financial and click on done. Select this offering, click on this apply. It will take few seconds to add into the implementation project. So wait for a while. Right. You can see one offerings added to this implementation project. In the same way, We can add multiple, like we have select the order management and click on this apply. On the background, you can see order management gets added. In the same way, we can add the procurement. Click on apply. And likewise, we can add the product management also. Click on done. Right. So these are the offerings we have added to this implementation project. Right. And we have the button we have that is assign task. When we click on this assign task, sorry, suppose we select one procurement and click on this assign task. So all the procurement related tasks are assigned to this user. Suppose we assign the same due to the all user, and we can add the user. We can assign the procurement related task to this user. This data, apply, okay. Right, 7 close. So you can see assign user data. Right. You can see also the permission details also here. Right. So this is how you can assign the task to the particular user. Right. And we can see the report also here. Suppose we have click on this procurement. Right now we have any report. So click on done. Right. Now let's move to the how we export this implementation project from this application. So again, click on done. Under this setup and maintenance, we have the task list. Click on that. And we have the task name is manage configuration packages. Click on that. Right. Click on this create. Right. Now we have to select our implementation project, our source implementation project. So Tata implementation project is our source implementation project, and we can export this project with the setup and data or with the task list, right? So it will take few seconds to fetch the information. Once the information fetched from the application, the configuration package details are automatically fetched, and you can edit the name code. Sorry. Okay, the information gets fetched. Yes. Right. So this is our implementation project, and I'm going to import with all the task lists and all the data, setup data, right? And we can change the name. Right. Go with the this one. Right. Let's click on this next. Right. So we have the options to export as per your requirement, as per your needs of the application, needs of the task. Suppose we don't need this uh, legal association, so we can uncheck this box, right? So default by default uh, all the tasks are export. You can see, and click on this next. Now we can schedule this process. Suppose we select the user schedule. So we have to define the start time, the date and time for this process. You can see. So I'm going to select as soon as possible and click on this submit. Right? Yes. Just wait for a while. It takes few seconds. Let's take a time. Now let's move to our presentation. Right. So what we did so far, let's check. So we have created the implement user in our application. After that, we have defined the infrastructure, and we also covered this implementation project. Right. So our today's last agenda is geography. Right. Right. The meaning of geography. So let's take on this one. Geography is the boundary, such as a country, state, province, or a city, and it is a physical space with the boundaries that is defined the instance of geography types. In other words, we can say the geography is a physical space on the earth, such as a location or a region, that is defined by the boundary. For example, it may be an existing political location or such as St. John's, New York, California, right? So basically, geographical locations are used in the application to manage the business requirement, such as the sales territories, transportation, deliveries, taxation, logistics, and so on. And we have the components of the geographics. So geography have the three component of the, and all the components are depend on each other when we define the country, right? We define the geography structure, geography hierarchy, geography validation. Every country has the geography structure defined first, and before defining the hierarchy, right? And the geographic hierarchy has been defined before the validation, geography validation, right? So first we define the structure of this country, after that we define the hierarchy of this country, and at the end we validate this geography, right? So let's start from the structure. So first we need to create a geography structure for each country to define which geographical type or a part of country structure, and the second is how the geography types are hierarchically related within the country structure, right? For example, we can create a geography type called a state, city, and the postal code. When the city, the rank of the city geographical type is the highest level within the country, and the city is the second level, and the postal code is the lowest level within the country structure, right? So in the fusion application, the geographical distance structure can be defined using the manage geography task. We will see, right? Now the geography hierarchy. So once the geographic structure is defined, the geographics for each geography type can be added to the geography hierarchy. For example, in the hierarchy of the United States, you can create the geography called as the Texas using the state geography type, right? And as the part of the managing the geography hierarchy can be view, we can view the hierarchy, we can hide it, we can delete, right? The geography for its geography type, each geography type, right? And in the country geography, the geography hierarchy is the data model that creates the conceptual parent-child relationship between the geography. For example, the USA is the parent, and the California and the Texas are the child. So in this way, we can define the hierarchy. We can manage the hierarchy in the geography, right? Now, the validation. So after defining the geography hierarchy, we need to specify the geography validation for the country. So geography validation determines the geography mapping and the validation for each country, address style, as well as over the geography validation control for a country, right? So the no style format edited, the format is the default address style format for our country. By defining the mapping and the validation for its format, you will ensure that the validation can be performed for any address in the country. So, by the way, the geography is already maintained in our system, in our application. We just look at the different options available in the geography and show how we will manage it. Because the geography is already seeded data in our application. So this is our configuration package, and you can see the data implementation projects gets created over here. You can export and import process, and the status is not started till, right? Not started yet, right? And after completion of this status, when we click on this download, the options gets enabled. Then we can download the files. The files, this implementation project related file you can download over here, right? And after that we can import this file from this import setup data, right? So this is how you can create and you can import and export the implementation project, right? So done. And our last agenda, let's see, that is geography. So under this setup and maintenance, click on this task, click on this search. Let's click on this search, manage geography. Right. We have the manage geographics. Click on that. Right. So basically, the suppose we have the US search for that, right? And when we search for blank search, so basically all these geographics are already created or seeded in the system. We just navigate to different options and show how the geographies are managed in the systems, right? So we have the US geography, right? So this is the country code, and we have the geocoding defined, and this is already enabled. So geocoding are the information of the latitude and longitude of the country. You can already see that in this application, right? And you can enable by this, click on this option. So it gets enabled over here, you can see, right? And we have the address cleansing defined over here, and also completed over here. And we have the three parameter, that is structure defined, hierarchy defined, and the validation defined, right? So we have the structure defined, we have already covered, right? And click on this structure defined, right? So this is the structure of United States. So at the first level we have the state, and then county, then city, and the postal code. We are already defined by the Oracle. And if you want to add some geographical type in this level, suppose in the fifth level, so we can add from this geographical type, like click on that, and suppose we select the word, we select the zip, and click on this add, right? So in this way we can add the zip under this geographical structure, right? So we have no need to so cancel it. So this is the structure defined by the Oracle. Click on this hierarchical define. So you can see the data provided by the country, this US country, right? If you want to add the, suppose we have this United States, and under this United States we have the state. When we click on this state, we define the hierarchy of the country. When I click on this county, we define the city, and we click on this city, it define the postal code, and click on this postal code, there's nothing after that. When we define the zip under the structure, the geography structure, then it will show over here under this, after this postal code, right? And if you want to add some state, suppose you want to add this one, so select this one and click on this create icon, so that we can create under this United States, right? So suppose cancel it, and in the same way we have the validation, right? This is validation define. Click on that. So we have the already validate by the taxation, by the value, the geography value validation. You can see. Cancel out. Okay. So thank you. So this is all about today's session. We have covered the user creation, we have covered the implementation project, infrastructure, and the geography. So thanks for attending this session. Thank you so much.